Good morning, everybody, or good evening, everyone. Welcome to the second installment of All Things Web Design, Getting Back to the Basics. I'm going to give a few minutes for Facebook to register this video. I'm also going to share this video also to my personal business page. Hope everybody has had an amazing Wednesday. But again, I'm going to give some people a few minutes to log on. All right, guys. Just a few more seconds and we'll go ahead and get started. All righty. All right, guys. So Facebook has let me know that we have been on this live for 3 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. First and foremost, thank you so much for joining me tonight for part 2 of Back to the Basics. We're talking all things web design. If you are watching this video and you're looking at my face for the first time, or maybe you've seen my face and you really just don't know who I am, my name is Nicole Hawthorne. I am the CEO and the founder of Your Dream Worked. We are a Houston-based web design and web development agency that helps startups and small businesses and mid-level businesses I help them to establish their online presence and grow their business online. So what I wanted to do is I initially started this video, started this series, I guess, on Monday. Basically, I got a lot of feedback and have been receiving a lot of feedback for several years now from different previous clients or people I've run into or people I've helped or talked to and gave advice when it comes to web development, what it means to have a website, what it means to actually build your online presence for your business, for your nonprofit, for your organization or whatever company that you have. And I have been getting a lot of feedback from people to say, hey, man, can you just go live and can you just continue to give us this information to help us learn how to build the business online. And so after several years and just kind of, going back and forth within myself, I decided that I was going to go ahead and start sharing this content. And so Monday, we did the first installment of this series, and I shared it on my personal Facebook page. So if you missed that particular live, it is still up and available for you to be able to watch. Simply just go up in your search on Facebook and type in my name. My name is Nicole Hawthorne. Look for my face and you'll be able to watch the live. Hello, welcome, and thank you for joining us. But you'll be able to watch that old live. I think we also reshared it here on our business page. But again, if you missed the first installment, please feel free to go on my personal website, my personal Facebook page, Nicole Hawthorne, and you will find the first live. So again, if you are joining me for the first time, you've never seen my face, or if you are not familiar with me, let me just introduce myself again. My name is Nicole Hawthorne. I am the CEO and founder of Your Dream Worked. We are a digital web agency here in Houston, Texas, where we help small businesses, startups, and mid-level businesses grow their business online. Hey, Jaleesa, how are you? I miss you so much. Hey, Ahmad, good to see you joining. Thank you so much for joining. Listen, I'm going to tell you this. If you're joining me on this live, please share this video. I'm trying to get this information out to as much people as possible that may be able to benefit from just free knowledge about how to build your website, what to look for when hiring someone to build your website. We're talking all things web design. We're talking all things web development. And we're really just I'm honestly just going to add more pieces to the conversation based on your feedback. So you do have the ability to send me messages with questions that you may have. I'm going to review those questions and then come back and answer some questions for you in these lives and in these settings just like this. So please, if you can, do me a big favor, like and share this video with anyone that you believe would be able to benefit from the information that we're sharing concerning the topic of web design. The next thing I want to mention is in the first video that we did, I mentioned that I was thinking about creating a private Facebook community for entrepreneurs and business owners and anyone really that is looking to do anything in the area of business, or maybe you have a nonprofit that you're looking to start. Maybe you have a church ministry, a church or a ministry that you're looking to set up online, maybe like a website or something for people to be able to find your ministry, maybe see some videos, find the address, get service times, just the basics. And maybe, you have an organization that you're looking to build online and you're looking to find out how to do that. I mentioned again on that first video that I was thinking about creating a private community on Facebook within our Facebook page here with Your Dream Worked for people that were interested. I wasn't sure if I was going to put this private group together, but I did, let the other viewers in the last video know if you were interested in joining the community. I don't want this to be a community where I'm not the type of person that will create a Facebook group and then add everyone that is connected to me in that group. I am also not the type of person that will automatically add people that I know based on my list has a business of some sort or an organization of some sort. I'm not going to automatically add you to this. I want this to be a private group in a private setting, a private community where you can just gain knowledge and understanding about different things when it comes to business. And I want this to be a choice that you make. And so I put it out there. I'll put it out again. If you are interested in joining a learning community where you can learn about all things web design when it comes to how to market your business online, anything related to the online space when it comes to your business, and even a few things. If you're looking to learn a little bit more about that, maybe you don't have the budget to hire a web developer like myself or other members of my team, and you're looking to do maybe a DIY, or even if you do have that budget, but you want to learn so that you know that your money is being invested in the right resources to help you grow your business, and you want to learn. Or if you're just a learning junkie like myself, I love to learn, love to read, I love knowledge, I love to learn new things, and you're looking to learn that information, let me know in the comments whether or not you are open to joining this private community. You can also send me a message via Facebook Messenger. If you have my any form of contact for me, you can contact me and just let me know, hey, I am interested in joining this private group. Right now, we have about 5 people that has sent me messages about it, and I think I am going to go ahead and move forward with the small group of people that are looking to learn and establishing that. But I want to kind of know and learn from you, if this is something that you think that you'll be interested in joining, let me know. If you let me know, I will ask for your permission to add you to make sure that this is something that you want to do. And please, if you do join the community and you gain knowledge, you don't have to stay. Stay as long as you need to stay in order to gain the knowledge that you want. We want it to be an inviting community. We want it to be a learning experience, a little opportunity for networking as well, but it's more so for a learning opportunity for you to be able to help or get the knowledge that you need to grow your business online. So if that's you, if you're looking to gain that knowledge and need some help in that area and you are willing to join this private community, let me know in the comments that you're interested. And also you have the opportunity, of course, to DM me, hit me up in the messenger and let me know. Okay. So now that I have all the preliminaries out of the way, let's get into the nitty gritty. I want to first start with a little bit of a recap. Before I do, I do not want you to think that I am not paying attention and I have forgotten about you. Listen, I want to give a shout out to my brothers and my sisters in Chad, Africa. Look, I got your messages. We've been chatting through the messenger, and I have gotten all of your questions, and we're going to go over those questions at the end of this video in a brief Q&A. For those that are not in Chad, Africa, please feel free to ask me any questions throughout the video if you have any questions that may come up. But I also want to let you know, if you've watched this video and you have some questions that come to your mind after a certain point, feel free to either put them in the comments or you can send them to me in a private message. If you don't want it to, everybody to see your questions, you can send it to me in a private message and I will look at that after the video. But shout out to my family in Chad. Thank you for watching. I know some of you are still up because it is very, very late your time. There's 7 hours, a 7-hour difference between us. But I do want to acknowledge you to let you know I thank you and I appreciate you for staying up to watch this video. And I look forward to helping you guys any way that I can. So I just want to do that quick shout out. Now let's run to the recap. So if you weren't, if you didn't see the last video, we did just a simple introduction concerning the areas of web design. And I want to do a little bit of a recap just for people that just don't understand or just didn't get a chance to watch that video. So one of the things that we talked about, or the 3 things that we actually talked about in the last video, was we talked about 3 different elements of what a website actually is. Okay, the first thing that we talked about is we went over what a domain is. If you are not familiar with a domain is simply a web address. It is a digital address that the internet and search engines on the internet, just such as Google or Bing or Yahoo or any of those search engines, or a web browser such as Chrome or Firefox or whatever you use to get on the internet. The domain is actually going to be your web address that the digital world knows is where they can locate you. So just like a physical address for your house or your apartment or your place of business or whatever, the address that you would give people and you would provide people to come and visit you, that is what a domain is. So your domain is going to be that virtual address that you will be able to give to people in order for them to virtually come and visit your online space, or what I've been calling your digital home for your business, for your organization, whatever it is. And so we discussed what a domain was. We discussed the definition, a simple definition of what that is. And then I discussed when it comes to having a domain and having a web address, it is not a web address that you're able to purchase one time and one time only. It is something that you are going to continuously have to purchase on either a yearly basis, a 2-year basis, sometimes a 5-year basis, sometimes a 10-year basis. It really depends on the company that you purchase that domain from. So if for instance, one of the most popular places and one of the most inexpensive places to purchase your domain is going to be from GoDaddy.com, like mommy, daddy, GoDaddy.com. That's GoDaddy.com. You're able to purchase domains for your business or for your organization or even for your personal blog, whatever it is. It is one of the most inexpensive places for you to be able to purchase that. And they give you options to purchase it annually. A lot of times we, as at Your Dream Work, at our company, we encourage people to go ahead and purchase a domain for a year. But if you can, go ahead and purchase it for 2 years. 2 years is good or 1 year is good because that is the minimum amount of time that you would have to be able to rent that address. But if you do a 2-year or 5-year term with GoDaddy or whatever company that you choose, then you've purchased it. You've locked that address in. If anything happens at any given point, that address is yours for 2 years. That address is yours for 5 years. And you do not have to worry about renewing that until that time span is up. Those companies are brilliant. They have automated systems that will let you know, hey, your time is getting ready to end. You need to renew your address so that you can continue to use your address for for your website. And so again, we went over what that was, what the simplest definition of what a domain and a web address is. And then we went over the timetable that they typically will give you in order for you to rent that address. Okay. The other thing that we went over, or the other part of web development and websites that we went over, is web hosting. So again, the domain is going to be your virtual address for you to be able to invite people to your digital home. But if you just have your address, that's all you have. Having a domain and having your web address does not mean that you have a home established on the internet. It just says to Google and all the other search engines that, hey, this address has a home coming soon. Somebody owns this address, but there is no physical or there's no virtual home for this address at all. So if I were to put that address in and I try to go visit you, there would be nothing there. Okay. And so what you need in order for you to be able to begin building your online home, which is your website, is you will need to be able to secure or purchase or rent hosting. Your web hosting is going to be the plot of land that you rent out. So just like real estate, you're not able to purchase. Again, this is another thing where they won't let you purchase web hosting and you have that web hosting forever and ever and ever and ever and ever and ever and ever. No. Just like in the real world, in real estate, in the area of rental, you have to rent that space on a continual basis. So an easy example that we provided on the last video was to compare web hosting to a regular situation is if you're renting an apartment, you know that you would have to rent that apartment. You sign a lease for an entire year. And so once that year is up, you have to renew that lease again. And that in a rental scenario, when it comes to renting an apartment, you have the option. Most times you're going to pay month to month. Sometimes you have options to pay, double up your payments or pay it out in one lump sum. However you do that, you have that option, but it's only going to allow you to rent that space out typically for 1 year. Okay. Now let's compare that analogy to the digital space. So again, we're talking about web hosting. So web hosting is going to work just like you having a rental property or you renting a property. The only thing is the difference is that, of course, it is a virtual rental property. So you go to a company that offers web hosting, and you will purchase a hosting plan, which is simply giving you the plot of land virtually to build your online home. So again, your web address, your domain is your web address. That is what you use to give out for people to visit you. And then your web hosting is going to be the plot of land virtually that you have to be able to build a house or a home for your business on top of it. Okay, I hope this is making sense. If you have any questions about the analogies, or if you have any other questions about what we're talking about, feel free to leave me a comment in the comment section, and I will be more than happy to break that down a little bit more. Or you can go back and watch the old video or the video, and we'll reshare it again so that you'll be able to find it easily if you're not able to find me via Facebook. But so we talked about your domain, we talked about what your web hosting is, and then the other thing that we talked about is what a website actually is. And so again, your address, your web address, your domain is the address that you give people to be able to come and visit you. Your web hosting is going to be the plot of virtual land that you have in order for you to be able to purchase, for you to be able to build your online home. But your website is the baby. It's going to be your house. It is your digital home that you get to create however you want to be able to build that out. That is your website. So your website is going to be your actual digital home. It's going to be your building, your digital building or your virtual building for your business. It is actually going to be what people see whenever they go to your address. So once you have an established website live on your hosting plan online, the online world says, hey, we actually have something for people to see when they go to this address. That is what your website is. Now, we also, in this recap, as we're recapping, when we talked about the websites, we actually also talked about or went a little bit in depth as far as what a website is, because a lot of people, some people did not understand what was the difference between a website and a web page. There was questions about what a web page was versus what a website is. So to recap, the difference between a web page and a website is that a web page is simply one portion of your home. It is not it in its entirety. It is just one simple portion of that of your website. Your site is going to be your digital home as a whole. So when it comes to your website, you can have a home page. That is a web page. You can have an about page. That is a web page. You can have a contact page. That is a web page. But when it comes to the website as a whole, it is all of those pages collectively put together. So in a natural sense, or in a natural illustration, a web page can be a bedroom. It can be a living room. It can be your bathroom. Like, that's how you would be able to compare the web page versus a website. So a web page is going to be one portion of your site or your online home. The website is going to be the home collectively as a whole. Okay, so like I said, I just wanted to recap on that. Feel free to go and watch the first video that we did on Monday that will talk a little, go into a little bit more detail about that. Okay. So now that we've done our recap, I want to go a little bit further into a few things when it comes to the website. So we've discussed what the domain is. We've discussed that it is a web address. We've discussed what the hosting is. We've discussed what the differences were between a web page and a website. But I want to go a little bit deeper into what you get when you actually get your hosting. So So let's start here. So when it comes to your web hosting, again, we talked about that the hosting is pretty much the plot of land that you are able to use to build your home on. It is something that has to be renewed on a regular basis, either now with your hosting, you actually have companies that give you the option to pay for hosting per month. As I mentioned in the other video, that is not something that I advise unless you are on a very tight budget, but you know that you're going to have the financial capital or financial resources to pay consistently every month on your web hosting plan. The reason why I do not recommend that you pay per month is because something can happen. Life happens all the time. And you never want to put yourself in jeopardy of your website or your digital home not being able to be seen because you did not pay the man its money. Okay, so what I advise when I deal with clients is that when you are purchasing your web hosting plan, you want to go ahead, if you can, and make that investment to at least pay the minimum of 1 year of usage for your web host. You want to be able to access that virtual plot of land for an entire year. You do not want to have to worry about somebody coming and bulldozing your site down or putting the borders over it and said you cannot see this site unless the administrator or the person that owns this site pays the man. You do not want that to happen in your business. So we always tell people that if you have the ability to outright pay for an entire year, go ahead and pay for the entire year. Now, when it comes to cost, there are hundreds of companies that you can purchase web hosting from. What I am going to do is coming up in the series, we're actually going to have a webinar where I'm actually going to do a compare and contrast between some of the top companies that offer really good web hosting plans. Okay, and if you're interested in that, let me know. It is not going to be a free video like we're doing right now. It is going to be a small fee, possibly for the price of a meal that you would have for dinner. But I will have those details coming up. But I do want to give you some information so that if you are leaving this video and you're doing your own research, or if you've reached that point to where you're trying to shop around on your web hosting, I want to go over some specifics that you want to look at when you are, or some things that you need to understand when it comes to dealing with your web host. Okay. So again, if you're going to purchase web hosting, one of the things that I advise you is to go ahead and invest into yourself and into your company and pay at least a yearly plan. Go ahead and pay for the year, because you don't have to worry about that until another year. And the company, again, that's their bread and butter. They know that people are going to need to be reminded of when their plan is up for renewal, and they're really good at sending you multiple emails about that. Just make sure that you keep your email address active so they know how to contact you. Okay. If you cannot afford to purchase your web hosting for an entire year, it's okay. The other option that we tell people is to do it on a quarterly basis if they offer that. Again, I do not advise that, but they do have options for you to be able to pay quarterly as well as monthly. But again, if you forget at any time, they will put those borders up and lock the doors and say you cannot access your website unless you pay them some money. Okay. So again, go ahead and pay for the year. If you can pay for 2 years, that's great. But most of the time, it's going to be a year plan, and that's really good. The investment cost on web hosting for a yearly plan, and I'm only going to talk yearly plan because that is the recommended amount that we tell people, and most companies will tell you to pay out for the year. They won't even give you any other options. They'll just tell you for the year. Those plans typically range anywhere from $70, and it can go up to $300, $350. So it can be a very costly deal, but you have to think about it like you're renting that space to be able to have a website up for people to be able to purchase from you, whether you have a product or you have a service, or even if you're giving information. If you're trying to grow your business, this is something that you have to really, that is one of the most important pieces outside of having a domain that you want to invest in. Okay. And like I said, in the webinar that's coming up, we will compare some of the web hosting options so that you know what you're getting and you understand what you're paying for. Too many times I have people that do not understand what they're paying for. And then you get frustrated and you get, kind of irritated because you don't know what you're paying for. And so I want to make sure that you're getting a full understanding of that. Okay. Now, when it comes to web hosting, of course, I want to take you slow. I don't want to give you too much information that you're not able to retain at the same time. But all together, I kind of want to take you on a, slowly on a case by case and build up into some things. But one of the most important things when it comes to web hosting is making sure that you have enough space to have your website up, to do everything that you're looking to do. But then you also want to consider not just space, but you also want to consider speed. Okay, now let me explain. So in the World Wide Web, even how you're watching this video now, like for you to be able to even watch this video, this web page that this video is showing on is just showing on one page. Okay, if you are watching a video in and of itself, it needs a lot of speed in order for you to see this video in a real-time scenario, in a real-time situation. Speed is very important when it comes to your website. Okay. The reason being is you want to be able to have enough speed on your website for people to pull. You don't want people to visit your website and then once they go to your web address, like if they go to www.abc.com, if they go to abc.com and it's constantly spinning and they're having to wait, they're gonna immediately exit out and totally rule out your company. You never want to put your business in a situation to where you have people leaving before they can even see any information. Okay, so you want to make sure that the company that you're signing up with to get your web hosting provides you with enough speed. With a good amount of speed for you to be able to have a fast flowing website. You don't want anybody to have to wait for anything. You want them to be able to put in that web address, it immediately pulls in your website, and then it shows them, your audience, the content that they need to see in order to consider whether or not they're going to purchase from you, whether or not they're going to work with you, so on and so forth, whether or not they're going to visit you, so on and so forth. Okay. The other thing that you want to pay attention to when it comes to web hosting is you want to make sure that you have enough allotted space for you to build out your website. So typically I will let you know with simple websites that are not on a large scale. So let's say you only have, you want to have a website that only has one page. You have a one-page website. You need something really simple that's just going to be kind of a cookie cutter. This is me. This is what I offer. This is how you contact me. Here's my social media. Just one simple page. Most of the time, you don't have to worry about not having enough space and not having enough speed for your site. Typically, if you have a one-page site, it's going to come up immediately. You're not going to have to worry about space. The times where you are going to have that problem, or you may come up with some issues when it comes to having enough space and having enough speed, is if you have a large website. So if you have a website where you have 20, 30 pages, which is typically something that happens when you have a product-based website or you have an e-commerce business. A lot of times when you have multiple products, you have to have multiple pages for the products themselves, for people to know who you are, the contact pages, terms and conditions. You can have refund pages, all these pages, however many pages you need for your organization. The more pages, the more space it takes. Just like a house, the more rooms that a house has, the more space it takes. Okay. So again, if you have a smaller website, you don't really have to worry about space or speed. It's only when you have multiple sites or multiple pages within a site that you really need to be concerned about that, because the more space you take It takes up speed. Okay. Now, let me let you know. Let's go into what things actually affect your space and your speed on your website. So, the things that will affect your space and speed is going to be written content. So any written content that you have on your website is going to take up space. Photos, images, video, all of these things take up space in your digital home. It will take up space on your website. It will also affect speed on your website. The larger a file, the more it takes from your speed allotment. Okay, the larger the files, the more space it will take on your website. So all these things are factors. If you have to use what's called a plugin, or you need to add different elements to help build out certain stuff when it comes to your website, all of those things are factored in as well. Okay, so again, we'll go into this a little bit more in depth, but I want to get these things on your brain. So as you're looking at different hosting plans, if you're in the market for hosting plans, or even if you have hosting, but you're just trying to understand what you have, these are good things to look at. How much space do I have to actually have my website up? Is my space being affected? A lot of times, certain companies will let you know when you're running out of space. That's good to know. What does my speed look like? For you that already have a website, I want you to do a test. I want you to go to your website and begin to count the seconds. Turn on a timer on your phone or something like that counts the time that it takes in order for your website to pull up. And then test out every page that you have on your website. If it takes more than a second or 2 seconds or 3 seconds, you might want to see what's going on. You might want to look into what is causing it to pull up so slow. You might want to look in, if it's taking up 5 seconds or taking 5 seconds for it to upload or 10 seconds for it to upload, you have a problem. You need to look at something. Maybe something hasn't been updated. Maybe something is broken on the back end. There's a lot of factors that it can be. But typically, the statistics show that you literally have 3 seconds to really wow your audience. Most people, if past 3 seconds and they're not seeing anything, like I said, they will move on to somebody else. They will find somebody else. So you have literally 3 seconds, 3 to 5 seconds to really captivate your audience. And you never want speed to be a problem with that. Okay. So again, we talked about, certain things to look at when it comes to your web hosting. The other thing that I want to mention, not about web hosting, but about your domain is this. So let's say, I'll put a scenario out here. Okay. So let's say that you have you just started your business. You've purchased your domain, you've got your hosting, and you're like, okay, I have my domain, I got my hosting, I'm ready to build my website. Okay. I want to give you this tip that I like to give people when they're in that process of purchasing, and they're in the process of, purchasing their web address and establishing hosting so that the website can be built. What I like to tell people is that you always want to think with the end in mind. Okay. If you have a business, let's say you started a janitorial business, and you're a new janitorial business in your area. There may be you may have a few competitors that are in your areas as well that are offering the service, and you're getting started. You want to build your business up. And let's say you get your hosting, you get your domain, you build your business or your website, you hire someone to actually develop your website. You begin to brand yourself online. You get to put your business out there, and you're growing your business, right? And you begin to be very successful. Not only are you able to be very successful, but you become a household brand. You become a household name in your area. People know that they need to call Jack City janitorial service to get to do anything when it comes to cleaning and all these things, for businesses, for houses, for luxury homes or whatever. And so let's say you get to the point to where you become recognizable and you have a lot of traffic on your website. You're getting a lot of calls from people, going to your website, or you working on stuff offline. And you actually, are building your business. The worst thing in the world that can happen is you begin to build your business with jackcityjanitorials.com, and someone decides to be very petty, or they decide to be very strategic and purchase your .net, your .org, your .info, same name as your business, but again, you're using a .com, and they choose to purchase every other extension of your business web address, so that you can't purchase it. And they begin to build another janitorial service that's using your business name, just with a different extension, which the extensions are your .com, your .co, your .net, your .info, and so on and so forth. You would hate for another company to come in and try to build a brand around your company. Yes, you have built a successful business, but that business could easily double back and backdoor and build another business all around your business and steal your traffic, meaning steal your visitors. You have somebody that parks right next to your business and offers the same service that you offer. They've bought all of the extensions. They can easily do tricks and trades on the back end of their site to draw people to their establishment versus yours. So one of the things that I tell people when they're even in the very beginning stages of building their website, building anything online, building your business online, and whatever, I always encourage people to purchase every main extension that is important to your business, that uses your business name. So we're using, for the example we're using right now, if you're using the name of your business is Jack City Janitorial, and you purchase jackcityjanitorial.com, you want to purchase the following extensions. And this we're using this as an example, but I want you to think about this when it comes to your business. If you haven't done it already, you need to look into purchasing these extensions as well. We want to work with the top extensions when it comes to purchasing your business. And I think for the sake of time, I'll go over this, and then I will go over the extensions and themselves and how to know what extension you should purchase for your website. Okay. So if you purchased jackcityjanitorials.com, okay, you want to purchase also jackcityjanitorials.net, you want to purchase .org, you want to purchase .co, and you want to purchase .info. So you want to have a .com, you want to have ownership of your .net, you want to own your .org, you want to own your .co, and you want to own a .info. Those are going to be your main extensions, the most relevant, the most recognized extensions that you see on the World Wide Web and on the internet are going to be those extensions. Maybe not info, but info is becoming a thing now. So you kind of want to go ahead and get it. Most of the time with those companies, that that you're able to purchase your domains from, they'll throw that in for free. So go ahead and snatch it up. Okay. But your .com is very important, and you definitely want to own that. That is, if you can purchase .com for your business, for a business establishment, then go ahead and purchase your .com. But you also want to purchase a .org. You also want to look at purchasing a .net, and you also want to be purchasing your .info. And now, because .com is so huge, because that was the main extension that people were using to do anything. That was the first extension that people were using when it came to building business, is .com. That was, that was the very beginning of the World Wide Web, was .com. So, well, it was near the beginning of .com, just to make things easier. But Now that so many of people are using .coms, and there's so many businesses that are similar to each other that share the same names, this, that, and the other, and so much competition when it comes to purchasing it. You try to go and purchase a domain, and someone has your business name, the same business name. You try to purchase a .com, it's already taken. It gets frustrating. You're just frustrated. And so because that is becoming such a hard extension to purchase when it comes to your web address, people are starting to purchase a .co, which is kind of like your secondary .com. If you can't get .com, you can get .co. Okay, so let's put this in a category. Let's talk about your extensions. And this will be the last thing before I go into a Q&A. So again, if you have any questions, hey, Kat, thanks for joining. If you have any questions, feel free to put that into the comments or send me a private message after. I won't check it right now, but if you leave any messages for me in the messenger, I will check them and we'll go over it in the next live. Okay. But if you have any questions right now, go ahead and feel free to leave those questions in the comments, and I will try to address them in the Q&A time as well. So we've talked about the domains and the trick of the trade when it comes to making sure or trying to ensure that someone does not build another business brand around your business name or your organization name or what have you. Okay. Now we're going to go over just some of the popular extensions when it comes to purchasing a domain or having a website online. Okay. So I know that most of you are familiar with a .com. You're on Facebook right now, and Facebook has facebook.com. Most websites that you visit will have the extension .com. So it'll be abc.com. We have yourdreamwork.com. That is the most common extension that is used on the World Wide Web in the internet, period. Okay. So .com is going to be the most recognized thing for business. If you're in business, you want to definitely try to get a .com if you can. If you cannot, and you find yourself in a position to where you cannot get a .com, the next extension that you want to look at is a .co. Now, again, this is for people that have a service-based business, a product-based business. You're offering some kind of product or service. Maybe you have an informational type business. So for people that are coaches, life coaches, business coaches, fitness coaches, any type of coaching or counseling or anything like that, where you're providing, again, a product or a service, try your best to get a .com. Okay. If you're not able to secure a .com for your business, meaning someone has already reserved that and they're using that web address for their own business, maybe in a different area or sometimes even in your own city, you never know. Try to see if a .co is available. Like I said, that is a secondary .com that is becoming more popular and more recognizable, that you can secure. So again, if you can get a .com, great. If you can't get a .com, .co is very well respectable. It does ensure that, hey, you are a professional business, that people won't get scammed or anything like that. It just kind of gives people a little bit more surety in the fact that you are a legitimate business. Okay. Now, we've talked about your .com. We went over your .co, that's your secondary. Let's go over your .org. Now, .org is going to be the #1 extension for people that have an organizational type business or an organizational type or an organization. So if you have a nonprofit, if you have an organization, maybe you have a church, or some type of 501c3 organization, nonprofit, maybe you have a ministry or a church or something like that, your .org is going to be the one that's more common when you have an organizational type business, okay? Or when you have an organization or a nonprofit or a ministry or something along those lines. It's again, your .org is going to be that. Now, you can still purchase your .com, do the whole purchase all the .com or all the extensions that are relevant to your organization. You can very well do that. I know that there are plenty of organizations that actually use those extensions. Most of the time they'll use their .org as their primary, but maybe they use a .com for partners, or they find some way to use it. And you don't necessarily have to do that when you have a nonprofit, but I always, or an organization or a ministry or whatever, because you'll very seldomly will you see someone that tries to build an organization around your organization. But it is a good trick to do. So if you are interested in doing that, you can. If you don't, you don't have to. And even if you're in business, if you want to do that as a strategy, you can. If you don't want to, you don't have to. So again, for organizations, for nonprofits, for ministries, for leadership groups or anything like that, .org is a good domain, or going to be your most popular domain to use. The next I'll go over is going to be your .net. So your .net is going to be good. It's another good one to use if you can't get a .com or a .co, but now that .co is becoming more recognizable, you won't really see a lot of people that have a .net per se, unless they have maybe an older a website or something like that. But it is another option that you can use that is credible if you are not able to get a .com. Now the .net is also, you'll find maybe a lot of telecommunication companies, or some telecommunication companies, or some type of technology company sometimes that will use a .net. You'll see that pretty much on a regular basis. If you run into a .net, you may find companies that are more in the technology space that will use a .net. So that covers that extension. So again, your .com is going to be the most recognizable. Your .co is kind of going to be your up and coming next to your .com. Your .org is going to be more so for nonprofits and organizations, ministries, what have you. And then your .net is going to be more for your technology based companies, or some people use it if they're not able to get a .com or a .co. The other thing that you can, the other extension that I'll go over is going to be, I'll do two more. So you're going to have your .info, which is self-explanatory. A lot of people use that for more of an informational type website, if they just want to provide some simple information. There are sometimes, in some instances, where companies will use it, more so small business companies will use it if they want to capture, they want to provide information, but they also want to capture information from a customer or a client in an easy and simple way. It typically, if you do look at companies that you will be able to purchase your domain from, and you decide that you want to purchase a collection of the top, which is going to be your .com, your .net, your .org, they're going to throw a .info in there. So just letting you know that if you do choose to buy a bundle of your extensions with your business name, more than likely the companies are going to give you a .info as just a freebie, and you can use that in more of an informational type setting. Okay. The last one, of course, is .gov, and we all know that gov stands for government. So anything governmental, if you have a government business, federal, state, whatever, if it's anything government related, the government locks that down. So you're not really going to have the option to buy a .gov because the government owns that. Okay. So again, I just wanted to kind of go over the extensions. I do have questions about that from time to time, and I thought that would be a good segue, that we were at a good segue earlier to really just kind of go over those extensions. Hope that wasn't over your head a little bit. You can watch this video over and over again. I hope I made that clear and understandable when it comes to understanding which extension to get for your business. But again, feel free to watch the replay. If you have any questions further about that, please let me know. Okay. So I want to go ahead and just go into just a little bit of a Q&A session, because I did get some questions that I do want to have answered to some of the viewers that were watching in the last video. I did get some really good questions that we will be going over in more detail over time. But I do want to recognize a lot of my questions, especially for my Chad family in Chad, Africa, that had some questions about some things concerning web design. So if you have any questions and you're watching this video over anything that I've gone over, please, you can feel free to write them right here in the comments. Also, again, if you're watching this and you think any questions after we end the live tonight, feel free to send me a message. You can also email us at info@yourdreamwork.com with any questions that you have. And I would be more than happy to get those questions answered and even answer them in the next live. So again, we've done our recap. We've kind of gone on some things, but now I want to kind of go into a little bit of a Q&A, okay? And so I think these are some really good questions that I got from Jonathan and Chad. And I think that these were some really good questions that I get asked, common questions that I get asked all the time. So we have about 5 minutes left in the live, and I'm going to go ahead and briefly touch on over some of these questions. Again, we do have some more lives that will be coming in the series where we'll go into these a little bit more in depth. Okay, so let's get down to the series of questions. So question 1 is, how do I make my business more visible once I have a fully established website built? Okay, so this is a loaded question, all right? We will have a video specifically on this question, a series of videos actually. But if you have already built a website out, you have a fully blown website, it's live, it's available for your audience and for your visitors and your customers and whoever you want to see the website, you have it live and up. Like I said, this is a loaded question, but I will begin with the basics. Okay, so one thing I will let you know, and what some people that I have worked with in the past and some people I've dealt with in the past have had a misunderstanding about websites. Okay, when it comes to your website, you can have your website built and it's beautiful. It has information on there. It lets people know what you're offering. It has a call to action area where people can contact you. They can call you. They can email you. They can purchase right on the website, whatever the case may be. You can have a website designed and developed for you, and it's completely live, but that's all it is. It's just going to be up for people to be able to see if by chance they decide to visit your website, meaning you shared your address with somebody to go and watch or to come and view it. You have to market your business online and offline for people to be able to, for you to be able to have more visibility of your website, okay? One of the things that I'll mention on this, and I'll touch this briefly, and like I said, we'll go onto this in some more detail, is you want to make sure, you want to do things that are going to help bring more visibility to the site. So you have the house, but you want to be able to invite as many people as possible to your party, okay? The only way that you can do that is that you have to go out and market your business online, offline. However you need to do that, you want to be able to do that in order to attract people to your digital home, to your website. So ways to do that is you want to be able to constantly have content on your website, constantly putting an easy way to do this is to constantly put out blog posts. You want the search engines to be able to feel encouraged enough, not just to know that you exist, but to say, hey, I'm going to help send some people their way because I see that they're constantly having parties at their home all the time. And I use that as an example because it's the easy way to do it. If you're throwing a party every week where you're inviting people to come in and view what you have at your house, or you're having an event every week, you want to put that out there for people that know about you to put the buzz out, okay? So a good way to do that is through search engine optimization. I won't go into that because that is we can get into that, and I could do multiple videos on search engine optimization. But search engine optimization is basically a way for people to be able to find you on the internet. And it helps people, you put content or written content on your website for people to be able to search. Like if people search a particular topic, if they want to find shoes, you see it all the time. If you go to Google and you put in buy Jordans in Houston, it's going to pull up all of these locations where you can buy Jordans. Well, the reason why it pulls up those the information is because you have put out information that will help people find you in a strategic way. But the simple way to get people to your website is to do marketing initiatives for people to be able to see you, such as creating live video. Go live on your social media and put your website out there. Put a link to your website every time that you go live. I didn't do it this time. Maybe I should do that, but you can easily do that. When you go live, it gives you the opportunity to write a caption. You can easily put and invite people to visit your website by putting that in the caption. You can continuously put content on social media, which is a very powerful tool and a powerful way to drive more traction and more visibility to your website, is actually putting it out there for the world to see. So creating videos to videos for people to be able to watch, creating graphics and taking images and sharing that on social media with your products or your service, or letting people see what you do, and then tagging your website is a really good trick for people to be able to see you. So you can take a picture or make a graphic, create a post on Facebook or on Instagram or on Twitter, and in that caption, visit my website at www.whatever.com. Or yourbusiness.com. So doing using social media as a platform. As I mentioned earlier, you can create blog posts. Some people create blog posts every week, every day. Some people do it every 2 days. Some people create new content in a blog form on their website where you're sharing information, or you're sharing insights, or you're sharing tutorials, or you're sharing new releases, or whatever information that you want to share to your audience. You can use a blog to do that. And most times with your website, a blog is something that is an easy ad for you to be able to have. It's something that's offered when you're building your website. And so you can use that to help your website become more visible. Now we're in the age where we're all things digital, and now we have the power of creating digital advertisements. So actually creating advertisements on places like Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, and even Google, creating ads for people to be able to come and visit your website. So there's all types of ways and things that you can do in order to drive traffic to your website. Some things are paid, some things are where you have to pay to play. And sad to say, the way that the World Wide Web and the internet is now, most of the time you have to pay to play, meaning you have to pay for you to be able to have advertisements. But you can easily take $5 out of your day, or even $5 a week, and create an advertisement, put it out on social media, and that helps to draw people to your website. So there's all different types of ways to do that. If you want to do a free way, you got to create some content all the time and really, encourage and invite people to actually go live. To actually visit your website. So like I'm on live, I want you to go on my website at www.yourdreamwork.com. People need to see your face. I encourage people to go put your website out there. Believe in yourself enough to put your stuff out there. So those are just some things that you can do to make your business more visible to your audience and to really get traffic to your website. Okay. So hopefully that answers your question a little bit. Again, we'll go into a lot of this in more detail in the videos to come and the tutorials to come. But those are just some ideas that you can do. Okay. Another question that I have is, what does it cost to build a website? Now, I get this question quite a bit because there are so many companies that are offering web design services. There are platforms that you can use without hiring someone if you want to do more of a DIY type of situation. But there's always going to be a cost associated. Typically, based on the year that we're in 2020. A lot of things have changed when it comes to building a website. I will tell you the statistics. Okay, so when it comes to building a website or having someone build a website for you, so meaning you hire a company to build your website for you, there's some things that you need to consider when it comes to the cost. Okay, so one thing that that you have to consider when you hire somebody to build a website for you is you have to consider the time that it takes that person to actually sit down and build it. Not only the time, but also the information that goes into building a website, but specifically the time. Just like it takes you time to do certain things with tasks within your business, it takes you a lot of time for you to be, or some good detailed time for you to be able to have a website built or have someone build it for you. Typically, the average right now when it comes to someone building a website for you, and I will give you the averages based on the size of a website. So maybe that will make the answer to that question a little bit easier. Okay. So I will say that if, let's say you have a one-page website, you don't have anything but one page. A one-page website is also also called a landing page, meaning it's just one page that someone will go to in order to view your website. You can create a one-page website, and the average for that is typically it can average between $500 to $1,500. It all depends on what you're getting when you're paying for someone to build that out. Again, time is a huge factor. Also, the experience that you get whenever you're having someone to build that out for you. It takes a lot of man hours for that to be built. So for one, if you have someone do it for you, you're going to pay an average in the US. You're going to pay anywhere between $500 US dollars to $1,500 US dollars in order to get that built out. If you have a standard website, which is typically a 5-page site, so if you have 5 pages on your website, and you have someone build that for you, that can easily range from $1,000 to $6,000. It all depends on what you're needing, what you're looking to integrate, meaning what are you looking to add to help your business. If you want to, or your webpage, maybe you're wanting to sell services on your website. Maybe you're wanting to have people register for your email list, or have your social media integrated, or have videos integrated, or there's certain things that are necessary when it comes to building a website that are factored in before you even have it developed, which a lot of that information should be provided out for you within your quote. But for a standard website, which is typically about 5 pages or more, you can pay anywhere from $1,000 to $6,000. If you have anything larger than that, it can, where it's 10 pages plus, then it could cost anywhere from $250 or $2,500 to $10,000. Again, it's determining on what it is that you're looking to do. Maybe you're looking for someone to actually create the content for you because you're not really a good writer. There are all kinds of factors when it comes to the cost of building a website. But again, I will tell you that a lot of things to consider you got to consider the time that it takes for it to be built, the process that you go through in order for it to be built, the content that's necessary for it to be built, what you actually need. A lot of times I find that There are people that pay for a web developer or an agency to build out a website, and they think that they need all of these bells and whistles on the website, when really, and you do an evaluation of where they are in their business and where they're wanting to go in their business and what they want to accomplish with the website and what they want to use the website for. They may have, I've seen it plenty of times where people paid way more than they should have because they didn't really get what they needed. So there's a lot of variables into that. As far as the cost of the web page, I say that you would need to do your research first. And you really need to figure out what it is that you really need first, before you go about trying to figure out how much or before you go into hiring someone to do that. It's good for you to get the knowledge first on what you need. Sometimes there are companies, I know that we offer more of a discovery consultation or a meeting where we sit down and kind of learn more about your business first, and what you're looking to do, what you want the website to do, and how you want it to function, whether you have a service and you wanted people to pay for things online, or maybe you have a product you want people to be able to pay for things, or there's certain features that you need. We look at your entire business and we do an evaluation to see what you are saying versus what you are needing. And then based on that, we actually give you recommendations of where we think you should start. Because a lot of times you may think you need one thing, but you really don't. And that can help in a lot of the cost for that. Okay. Okay, so let's go to the next question. I got another question that says, okay, so in the last video, we talked about the web address. It's like a physical address. How much does it cost to purchase a domain address and a hosting address? So I went over that a little bit earlier. Typically, with places like GoDaddy, for GoDaddy.com, you can purchase a domain. Typically will be about between $12 and $15 per year for the initial year. When you renew, sometimes they will charge you a few dollars extra, but typically you can buy a domain or a web address for anywhere between $10 to $15 for the year. When it comes to hosting, there are hosting plans where you can get hosting an average about $20 for a good hosting service. You may be able to get a hosting plan for $20, 15 to maybe 25, 30 bucks a month for hosting. But again, remember I said we advise for people to pay for website hosting for at least a year, a minimum of a year. That way you don't have to worry about putting your website in jeopardy if you miss a bill. So just to recap, your domain is typically going to cost you anywhere between $10 to $15 per year. When you renew, they will bump that up a few dollars, but typically it's going to be between 10 to 15. For your hosting plan, you're typically going to pay an average of $15 or $20 to $30 a month. But we do encourage people to go ahead and pay out that for the year as a minimum. But you do have options with some companies to pay per month. Okay. Another question was concerning a business email address. So the question is, when it comes to having a business email address with the company name, is that something that should be coupled with a domain or a host? So it looks like you're wanting to know if you have a professional business email, meaning that it doesn't have yahoo.com or gmail.com. It's not one of the free email systems that you can use for just a personal account, but you actually have a business email address with a .com. So if your business is abcconstruction.com, you would have Nicole at abcconstruction.com for your email address. And so it looks like you want to know, how does that work? So basically, once you purchase your domain, you have the ability to get a business email. Now, there's different platforms that you can get a business email through. The most popular email addresses are going to be with Google. So you can get use G Suite, which is Google Suite. for business. They have a really inexpensive options. I think they've gone up $1. So they typically will charge you $6 a month to have a business email with them. And you get a slew of tools that you can use for your entire business if you so choose. The other one you can use is Microsoft. Microsoft has Outlook, and you're able to get a business email address, professional business email address for Microsoft. Typically, those are the two that you can purchase email addresses from, but you do have to have a domain purchased first before you can register for a business email address. And there are other companies that you can get that from. I'm just mentioning some of the most common. Okay. We have looks like we have a couple more questions, and then I'll wrap up. But I do want to address all these questions that I've gotten, because I did promise that I would answer each one to the best of my ability tonight. So we talked about the business email address. I have another question regarding a web page. So this question is for someone who doesn't know much about websites or web design. The question seems to be, if you don't know much about websites or web designs, how should you handle having new information that you want to add to your website? So here's how I will answer that. So the question is, let's say you have a website, but you're not really web design savvy, but you need to update information either on a continual basis or maybe a quarterly basis, or every so often you need to add new information to your website. What I will tell you is I will talk to you based on how I talk to different clients. So when it comes to us being hired, or you hiring someone to actually change information on your to build out your website, I always encourage you, because it is your business and it is your website. It's something that you're paying for. You should have complete access to the back end of your website, meaning you able to log into your own website, whether you know how to use it or not. You should be able to have your logins to your website. Do not trust someone to do that, to completely own that outright for you. I don't advise that, because if at any time you choose not to work with that company or not to use that web designer anymore, and you don't have access to your own website, you are in trouble. So a good web developer, a good web agency will give you access to your own website. I personally will tell my clients to purchase certain stuff before I have access to it, because I want them to feel the ownership of having their own web host, their own domain, owning their own domain, owning their own web host. Or if they're not owning their own web host, at least purchasing that, so that they have the rights to it. But you definitely need to own your domain, even if you're not paying. If you're renting out web hosting, we do have web hosting plans where people are paying us, for that web hosting. They still have access to be able to log into their website. But the domain you should purchase on your own. You should come to us with the domain, and if you don't have it, we walk you through that. And I think that is very important when it comes to your website. So again, if you're in a position to where you have access to your website, you needing to change information, and you hired somebody to do that. If you are on a maintenance plan or a web support plan with them, then they can do that for you. If you are not, and you just simply had somebody to design it, but you don't know how to do that, there are plenty of tools that you can use in order to get information. YouTube is a great place for you to find information on how to change information depending on what platform or software that was used for you to build your website. So for instance, if you used a company called Squarespace to build your website, there are plenty of tutorials for you to be able to find on YouTube to teach you how to update your website. WordPress is another very popular platform to build your website on. There are hundreds of tutorials on that. If you don't think that you are capable or of doing that on your own, or you really want some help or need some assistance, I would advise finding a web developer or someone that can help you update your website and put that information on there. There is some information that they will have to know. You will have to give them access to be able to log into your website in order to update that if you have that. If you don't have that, and you simply just had somebody design it, but you don't know what that information is, if you have the ability to reach out to that web developer and get the information to have the back-end login information and credentials for that, I would advise you to get that information from them. So if you can and you have access, you can do it. You can use tools like YouTube to see how you can update that. If you have a web developer that you still have access to, you can reach out to them and just give them the information. And more than likely, you will have to pay for them to update that for you. Or some people won't. Sometimes they will just do it for you. It just depends on your scenario. Okay. So here's a question. There's one more question that they had that was given to me for the Q&A, and the question says, "Can someone else work on or build a web page or a website that was developed by another web designer?" So it looks like the question is, can I have someone else work on my website even if I've had somebody else design it? Now, I remember this question asked, and I told them that this is a little tricky. The answer is yes. You can have another web designer work on your website. However, there are some instances where if you don't have access to log into your website or the back end of your website to do any type of edits, then no, you cannot. You would have to contact your old web designer to gain access of your website, because more than likely they have the access to it, and you would need to get that before you can have someone help you with that, or find another designer, or get another designer to help you with that. If you do have access to log into your website and make changes and things of that nature, yes, you can. Some web designers will charge you for that. Of course, it's a service that is provided by Web Design, so there is fees for that. You would have to find out what their fees are, but yes, you do have the ability to have someone else work on your website for you if it was developed by someone else. In most cases, again, if you have access, it's easy. It's easier. If you don't have access, that is much harder, and sometimes you're not able to. It just depends on the scenario. Last question is, once a web designer designs my website, is it a one-time fee, or is it required for an additional charge anytime I need them to update my website or keep an eye on things on the web? So again, that goes back to something I talked about earlier. Once you have a website built and established, it's there. But there are some things that are important to your website that it would be good for you to be able to have a web designer actually either on retainer or someone that you can pay to do a monthly or a quarterly check on the back end of your website. It is good to be able to have someone to do that. This is why. I'll give the scenario of, we used a lot of illustrations real estate wise. So I'll go back to having a house. So once you have your house built, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful edifice, and it's great. But just like most houses, there are maintenance that needs to happen. Something breaks, something needs to be changed. Your house can be broken into. Some things can be stolen from you. You can be locked out of your house. There's so many things that can happen with a house. Plus, the longer that a house stays there, it depreciates. So it gets older, and it gets some, things happening where it just needs to be renovated, or it needs to be updated, or there's a continual maintenance, just like your lawn, outside your front, in your front yard. You have to cut the grass every week. It's pretty much the same when it comes to the website. So your website is your digital home. It looks beautiful at the beginning. Everything works, hopefully, whenever you go live and launch your website for your business or your organization. But just like a house, there are things that needs to be maintenance. It continuously needs to be maintenance. Anything can happen. We're in the world of hackers and people that can, steal information. So if you do not have a secured website and your website is unsecure, that makes you more susceptible for spammers and hackers to be able to do anything. Or sometimes things just break. And it needs somebody to be able to keep an eye on things to make sure that your website is functioning properly, is clean, it's upkept nicely, and everything is working. So to answer your question, it is having a website design, that is one fee, but to keep it up and ongoing and make sure that it's in a good condition for you and it stays functioning the way that you need to, you do need to have someone that keeps an eye on your website from time to time. And then sometimes you may be in a position where you may need to hire somebody either on a monthly basis or bi-monthly, quarterly, whatever works for you, just to have somebody to be able to check it and do backups and make sure that it's up and running the way you need it to. So the design and the development itself, that is one-time fee. That is one time. You can hire somebody to build it out and you never work with them again. And it's just a one-time fee. But realistically, you want to make sure that it's always working the way that you need it to, that things are maintenance well and it's performing the way it needs to perform. Things change with the internet all the time. Things break. Things need to be fixed. Things need to be changed. You always want to make sure that your customers and clients, especially if you have a product-based business where you're capturing information, or even service-based business or informational type businesses or websites where you're capturing any type of information from anybody on the World Wide Web, you need to have a secure site so that not only are you not in jeopardy, but you're not putting your clients and your customers in jeopardy of identity theft and all the other things that's going on via the internet. So I would recommend that you have somebody on lock and key for you to be able to look into these things for you, because a lot of times when you're building your business, sometimes you don't have time to do it. If you do, then this is something that I would say you would need to look into on a weekly, maybe a monthly or quarterly basis, just to make sure that everything is functioning correctly on your site. But if you don't have the time or you don't have the know-how, it would be good to hire somebody to do that. I know here with the agency, we have web support plans that we have our clients. We have clients on where we have them on a monthly or a quarterly web support plan where they pay us a certain amount of cost depending on what type of support and how often they need it. And it's just that extra security that you'll need to make sure that your house is safe and secure for you and your customers. So I think I answered or went through all the questions that I had, and I do not see any questions in the chat. So I'm going to go ahead. We've been on here for almost an hour and a half. But I hope that you're helped. I hope this answered any of the questions that you have concerning all things web design. Again, my name is Nicole Hawthorne. I'm the CEO and founder of Your Dream Works. I really appreciate you guys for tuning in. Listen, if you know anyone that you feel would be beneficial to, or this video would be beneficial for, or the information would be beneficial for, please share it, like and share with them and with your audience. I would definitely appreciate that. Also, just a reminder, if you are interested at all in joining a private community where you're able to really do a more of a deep dive into all things web design and just business development itself, and you want to learn how to really grow and expand your business online, and even learn how to streamline your business and make some things automated so you don't have to do it. Anything along those lines, and you're interested in joining a private group, I have been considering creating a private community that I make available to you. It will be more of a learning community. I know that there are millions or thousands of Facebook groups, but I did mention earlier that I am not going to be one of those that are just automatically adding people to the group just to add people to the group because you have a business. I want this to be something that you choose, and it can be very valuable to you. Again, it is going to be a private group. Right now, I think we have about 5 people that have already mentioned that they want to become a part of this group. And so I think I've just made up in my mind that I am going to go ahead and establish the group. So if you are interested in joining the private Facebook group, either leave a comment here in the video, or you can DM me, send me a private message, a message on the messenger, or you can hit me up on Instagram if you're watching on Instagram right now. And let me know, and we'll fill you in, get you added to the group. I think I'm going to go ahead and solidify that tonight. And for those that are watching, that watched before and has expressed to me that you want to join the group, I will get you added and give you a little bit more detailed on how the group will work and so on and so forth. But again, it's just going to be a learning community for me to share valuable information to you. If there's anything that you want to learn about, anything you have questions about when it comes to digital marketing, when it comes to building your business online, when it comes to web development and design, social media tactics, all these things, let me know. I am literally creating this content for you to benefit you and to help you. And so if there's anything that you want to learn about, I have a lot of things that I have to share. I have 19 years, almost 20 years worth of web development experience and experience with administration and marketing, process improvement, process implementation, and all of these things. So if you have any questions, let me know. Anything that you want to see in the future when it comes to us sharing the information and sharing these lessons with you, any suggestions that you have, feel free to give me feedback. If you watch this video, give me feedback on this. Like I said, I've had a lot of people ask me to do these live videos where I'm just talking and training and giving you information that will help you grow your business forward. And that's what Your Dream Work is for. We were created simply based on a need. I had no desire to do business again. But this is something that the Lord wanted. And so we saw that there was a need, identified the need. And so we're here to meet your needs. And so, again, if you're interested in that private group, let me know. If you have any questions, let me know. I will let you know when I go live again, or when we're going to do this again. I know we did it Monday. We're doing it Wednesday. And I would do it Friday, but Fridays are church days. So we're not going to do that, but I'm going to sit down and plan another day to go live. So stay tuned on the information for the next live and what we're going to be talking about. But thank you so very much for tuning in. I really appreciate you. Thank you for all the support and the love and all the shares. I've been hearing dings all throughout the video, so I know that you guys are liking and sharing, and I really appreciate that. Listen, if you know anyone that is trying to build their website or build their business online, that's needing some help, needing some assistance, Your Dream Work was created for you. It was created for them. So if you have any questions or need any help or looking to hire a web developer or hire a digital support team to help you with business in certain areas of the business, feel free to visit the website, yourdreamwork.com. You can also message me. I'll be more than happy to talk with you, and we can schedule some time to meet to talk about your business and how we can help you grow that business forward. Again, if you're not liking this business page, please like our business page and share. You can follow us on all the social media platforms at Your Dream Work. That is our handle on all social media networks. But again, this is Nicole Hawthorne. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next live.